So I guess, Diana, this is a question, and I know you are all too familiar with it. Why do clients go from happy to angry during the construction process? And I know you've got personal experience with this. You're dealing with some of this right now, have dealt with it in the past. But we're going to ask you kind of your perspective as well, from your remodeling experience. Now you're dealing with some things with furniture. But how would you answer that, Diana? Like, why do clients go from happy to angry during the construction process?
I can say that it's very easy, because if you're not paying attention to the details and you take things for granted, then things can happen. I think that's my answer. My sensation as a customer is that I signed the contract, and then I can't go back. So they act like they're taking things for granted, and sometimes that's annoying, because they don't answer the phones, they don't deliver on time, they are not saying the status of the project, and yes, some of the, let's say, negative experiences that comes to mind. But I'm amazed by how I remember only the negative aspects instead of enjoying, and because there were a lot of beautiful aspects and nice, let's say, experiences. But somehow I remember only those those builders and remodelers that are let's say not delivering. They're not doing what they're saying they're doing.
That's you make a really good point here. The devil is in the details, right? And
Yes.
and I think we've all done that, where we work so hard to get a sale, to get somebody to the contract point, and then once we have them under contract, we do say, like, well, we've got you, so now I don't have to have my customer service as good as I had it before the sale. And I think, yeah, that's human nature. We're all guilty of that. So I came up with 3 answers, which I think summarize a lot of what you said. But the first answer is, why do clients go from happy to angry during the construction process? Is unrealistic expectations. And I think it's as simple as this, is that if you as a builder do not set expectations, your client will. And every single client has a different set of expectations. So what might be just fine for you, Diana, is not just fine for me. Or maybe you're less picky than I am, and so the challenge is, if you're dealing with dozens of different clients each and every year for all your different projects, each of them comes with an own set of expectations, and then you as a builder are trying to meet those expectations, which maybe sometimes you can, but more importantly, what if you can't? And that's what leads to a downfall in the relationship. Now, the other answer I would give, and I think this is a huge one, is that the fear of the unknown. So that whole thing, Diana, we don't want any surprises, right? This is the contract price. We don't want any surprises. So after I get into the project, when I have these unexpected costs outside of the contract, that will take a good relationship between a builder and their client, and it will send it right down the toilet very, very quickly. And then the third one, I think, is poor communication. And what I'm going to say here is, I'm going to call it reactive communication. You as the builder are only reacting to your client initiating communication. So what you feel like as a client then is that you don't know really what's going on, or your questions or concerns are really not being properly addressed. So Diana, anything else you want to add on to that, based on your experiences?
I can agree with everything. So that's amazing how simple it is to let's say to do things right, and how easy it is in the same time to not do them. So it's
And I think you made a good point. Is simple it is to do things right, and the key to doing things right is you have to have a process in place. And you have to be able to replicate and duplicate that process. If you can do that consistently, like in other words, do the basics really well, you will be successful. And more often than not, in fact, 90%, 95% of the time, you will come out of a job with a happy client. You'll never be able to please everyone. If you're in business long enough and you do enough jobs, it's inevitable you are going to have somebody that gets let down. And sometimes circumstances dictate that. Sometimes there's things that happen outside of your control. It reflects poorly on you or negatively on you. And the client's going to look at you and say, well, it's your fault. And that's just part of the business.